Hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a look at the Behringer Pro VS Mini Hybrid Vector Synthesizer. It's marvellous, it's a marvellous thing. It's tiny, obviously, it's a vector synth. Can make cool stuff like this. For no polyphonic, you can play the little tiny on-screen keyboard if you want to, but I'm going to be using this Arturia MIDI keyboard. I've also got it going through a little bit of reverb, just because it sounds better going through a little bit of reverb. Anyway, right, okie dokie. So we're going to go through the whole thing basically, but I'm not going to cover the sequencer and the arpeggiator. I will do those in a separate video because they could do with a tutorial on their own. But what I am going to show you is how to program it and how it works. Okay, so it does have a chorus effect built in, but if you want reverb, delay and stuff like that, then yeah, you're going to have to add your own, as I have with the reverb you're hearing now. It has 32 built-in programs. You can offload programs to their desktop, and you can import entire program banks as well. Okay, it's very easy to create your own patch. So first of all, when you switch it on in its default state, these two buttons here, where it says data entry, these will control the presets. And like I said, there are 32 of those. So find one that you don't like. And there are loads of really good ones. So I'm gonna write this one. I'm gonna initialize this patch. So it's program 19. We're going to initialize program 19. So what we do, first thing we do is press function, and function will light up, as you can see, okay? Then we press number 15 here, which is init, okay? So press init, and it will say program init, okay? Then come back out of function, right? So here's your initialized sound. Now, the vector, this is what is the cool thing about the synth, is obviously the vector control. So you'll see if I press this and I'm on point A on the vector and I move round, there's nothing there. So you can assign a different sound to 4 different oscillators, and then you can decide if you want to use the vector control to play with the sound or have the Pro VS Mini scroll through various vector points to evolve that sound. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with this. Now, each of the oscillators, if you like, there's 4 oscillators in total. Let me just get to the end of this screen, right? You have 127 waveforms per oscillator, and the oscillators are here, A, B, C, and D, okay? They don't necessarily correspond to, you don't have to have a different oscillator on A, B, C. You can have the same sound on each of the vector points. That doesn't matter, but you'll understand this as I go along. So you'll see here, I'm going to press this, and as you see, it goes oscillator B, oscillator C, oscillator A. If I wanted to be on an amp filter, I'd press this and go to amp, press oscillator, go to oscillator A. So when I'm on a particular part of the machine, by selecting it here and making sure you're highlighted here in the little display, the wave control chooses the oscillator. And if you look very closely here, I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can, it says 033. That is oscillator 33. And oscillator 33 is a sawtooth. If I change this now to oscillator 34, that's a square wave. And then we have a dome wave. another dome wave. So let's leave oscillator A on a dome wave, okay? Let's move to B and let's change oscillator B. So 127 is not, let's go to B. 127 is noise, 126 is silence, and then you literally scroll through the waves. So let's use this one. So this is 118, and if you look in the manual, you can find that 118 is, let me just find it here, space wave they call it. Okay, so now we have A and B. Let's go to C. So you just find a wave you like. Let's use that one. Let's go to D. And let's use that one for D. Okay, so now wherever you put this, right, so say as soon as I let go of a key and play it again, it's going to return to its default position. And its default position is always starting point 0. So we need to set up how we want our vector to work. Okay, so you can now do it by hand. But now I'm going to show you how you set it so that when you play a key, the synth controls the vector position. Okay, so first thing we need to do with this is we need to hit function again. So function, and all these lights will flash. And you'll see here that one of them says mix. So it's number 13 is mix. We'll tap mix and you'll notice this will change up here. Now it will say mix, envelope and loop. So mix, env and loop. The first thing is mix. I'm going to turn that off for now. So where it says 0 to 3, I'm going to switch that off just for now. Then I'm going to go to mix, envelope, repeat. Now, because that first part is turned off, the repeat function won't make any difference. Okay, I'm going to press it again. And now I'm on my points. Okay, so the points of my vector, and you'll see A, B, C, and D. And I also A24, B24. That means they're all basically playing the same. But you see now, when I change this, you'll see these numbers will change. So now, point 0 is always going to be the starting point. So if I do this, and I play, oops, sorry, I'm still in function. Let me get back to envelope, mix, and here, come out of function now. But now it'll go back to the start point, right? So let's get back into function. Let's go to envelope. So this point 0, this is always going to be the start point of the sound. Okay, and you can tune in here. You'll see it says A95. You can get it as close as you like to 100. And this is starting point 0. Let's move to the next point now. So the little plus and minus will move you between points. And now you'll see it'll say 0.1. And now this is going to go from 0. Where do you want the vector to go next? So let's have it go to there. Okay, and you'll see it says C99 and the others are practically on 0. So it's going to go from A to C. Let's press it again. This is going to be 0.2. So let's go from A to C to, and we could go back to A if we wanted to, but let's not. Let's go in between A and D. That's 0.2. Let's go 0.3. go to there. So that's 0.3. And we also have another point, which is 0.4. And this is where it's going to go when you release the note. Okay, so let's have it go to there. Now, depending on how your envelope is set is dependent on how that last point will be reached. So now we've got that, we've got our 4 points. Let's exit function and let's press a note. You hear it scrolling through, right? Those are the points that we've just set. Okay, so we want to control how fast that happens. So you'll see here on this section, it says filter, amp envelope. So filter envelope, amp envelope, and mix envelope. So put it so mix is highlighted and you'll see R1, R2, R3, and R4. R1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll see they're all set on 25. If we now increase these points to maximum, so they're on the longest time they could possibly be, when I press a note now, it will scroll through those vector points that we set at the slowest speed possible. So and it will hold on the last point until I release. Now it wants to go back to another point that I set. I'm going to go to amp envelope now, and we'll just leave the attack on 0. We'll leave the decay there. We'll leave the sustain on 99, and we'll put our release on 99. So now when we hold a note, what happens is we'll let it go through its full cycle, and when I release the key, because we have a long amp release time, it will eventually go back to that end point, point number 4. So there's 0.3, here's 0.4. And there's 0.1 again, the starting point. Right, okay, we don't need the release quite that long. Now at this point, it's probably a good idea, if you're happy with how your patch is going, is to save it. Press function and press store, and it'll say program done. And if we exit function now, just quickly press this, we'll see program 19 is the initial program we started with, and it's now this. So if we went to another program, say 20, and then went back to 19, it's going to be the patch we were working on. All right, so let's make a few other adjustments, shall we? Let's look at our filter. So okay. Right, so that's your filter, your cutoff. You set that how you like. But let's say we'd like to put some filter envelope onto the sound. So we'll go to our filter envelope here. Keep pressing it until you land on the point at filter envelope. And you'll see your filter envelope represented along the top here. Now, there's a thing here. If I mess with this, you won't hear anything. So let's take the cutoff really low. So this is your filter envelope. You should be hearing it take effect on the filter now, but you're not. And this is because we need to tell the synth how much of the envelope we want to affect the filter. So we need to increase the amount. Press function, okay, and along the bottom again, you'll find filter, and just press it, and it'll say filter envelope amount. And this now, filter envelope amount is now these. So we can give it an amount. I'll use my keyboard, otherwise I have to keep coming out. So let's take it up to say there. And now we can mess around with the filter control. Let's now let's go back into our filter envelope amount. And we can set how much influence our filter envelope is having on our sounds. Exit. Okay, let's go and have a look. So we've covered the filter envelope, the amp envelope, the mix is how fast all that occurs. I mean, you can have them set at different speeds. If we go to our mix again here, you see we've all got them at max, so we get that long, slow, sweeping. But if we set some of these to be quicker, maybe leave the last one quite high and then the number 4 one to low. Now it'll sound different. So let's look at the LFOs. So make sure now you're sitting on LFO1 or LFO2. Once you're on LFO1, LFO1 controls the cutoff. So okay, so that's the cutoff, that's your speed. And this is the depth, obviously. We change the shape with the function. So function, LFO set, press this and you'll see square, sawtooth, ramp, sample and hold. Okay, so that's how you set your LFO. I'm going to change this back to I quite like the ramp. But I'm just going to turn it off for now. Now your second LFO, if we press it again, make sure out of function, press LFO2. This is for the pitch. And this is the same thing as before. All we need to do is go to function, find LFO, and we can choose a different waveform. Now, each LFO, LFO1 and LFO2 can have different waveforms. They don't have to have the same waveform. So sawtooth, square, triangle is probably best for, or sample and hold. Have it slightly less. And you can kind of get a wibbly wobbly keyboard vibe. So there are your two LFOs. You can, you know, have it either modulate the pitch or the cutoff or the filter, or both, and both can have different different shapes. So if I go back to LFO1, oh, sorry, got to come out of function. Just remember, got to come out of function. Go to LFO1 now. Now I've got the pitch has been slightly affected by the sample and hold, and the cutoff has been affected by the LFO number 2, the pitch. So I'm just going to switch off the LFO for the second one. Now, like I said before, your oscillators here, I'm not in function, no, your oscillators, you also have a frequency control, okay? So say, for example, if we're on oscillator B, so the second point are where oscillator B is in our vector control is now 2 octaves higher. Say, for example, we could go to oscillator D. We could have that set to, say, well, we've got, let's see, we've got an octave there. Where it goes back. Now you can also set these to be we've got that at a 7th. So whenever it hits point C. But you can also set this to be fine controlled. So again, function, and it says oscillator. Your oscillator frequency is a coarse or fine. So now we've got fine tune control over the oscillator frequency. So you could have them just slightly out of tune with each other, which will sound quite nice most of the time. So let's go back to oscillator A. Just detune them all. Not that one because I'm using it. And this one. Just detune them a little bit. Just detune them all a little bit. At this point, again, I'm going to hit function and store, and it'll say program stored. Good, come out of function. And now I'm free to carry on in case I accidentally come out of the patch. So it's a good idea to keep saving all the time. Now here we have a chorus. So we can apply some chorusing. So let me play a chord. And again, anytime you want, you can always just take over. But as soon as you hit the key again, it's going to do what you've programmed it to do. Okay. Like I said, I'm not going to cover the sequencer or the ARP. I will do them in a separate video. Otherwise, things start to get confusing. So there are another couple of things. So say, for instance, let's hit function and store again. Say we're happy with our patch. Okay. we want to rename that patch. So come out of function, go back into function and hit name. Okay. So now it's waiting. This very last one here, this last key here, you'll see above it, there's a little thing. This is delete. So you can see we're deleting things now and it'll go back to the beginning. And then all we need to do is use these keys here to add the letters. Now, I don't think there's a way to add numbers, but you can definitely add letters. So for example, there's a T here. So T, S, T, R, space here. And this was the fourth one I made, so I'll just call it 4. And I was using Roman numerals in case I didn't have enough like space, so I'm just going to call this. So what did I say? It was 4. So hey, I can't see the blinking. What's it now? So I, V, and bonkers, right? And then I'm just going to come out again, function, store. Now don't forget, now come out of function again, and now you'll see TSTRV. If I go to the next one and then go back to mine, there it is. There's a patch we've just made. So things like sync, if I press function, look at some of the menu functions now. The first one here, which is menu, you press this and at the moment it's set on mode sequencer. Next one is mode ARP. So when I do the ARP and sequencer tutorial, I'll explain those again. Next one, okay, so press it again when you've set either mode or ARP, press it again. Vintage, this is the engine type. So you might probably not, if I do this above actually. So I'll go really high. Modern. And modern bright. And then vintage. This just sets the Pro VS into different kind of modes. Vintage might emulate the original Prophet sort of thing. I'm not sure. There's not a massive amount of difference except in the very high-end aliasing thing. You get less aliasing if it's like, let me see how high I can go. Yeah, just yeah, there's more artifacts in the very top end of that sound. Right, anyway, so that's that. Click along again. Now you've got your master tune, then your filter envelope trigger. So you can either have it, so when you're triggering, I have this on multi, but if we switch this over to single, your envelope will trigger only once, whereas this will trigger each time. So it's more like a paraphonic synth. Pattern program link. This is again to do with the sequencer. So I'll cover this when I do that, but it just means that if you have pattern programming and when you change a particular sequence, it will change the patch as well. So it's up to you how you have that set. And then it's MIDI channel 1 and receive, and then velocity. I've got MIDI channel velocity switched off, but you can have it. MIDI CC, program bulk send, and sex receive factory, and then the factory, what's it, and then back to what you had. So that's your settings. Then you have sync. So sync is I've got it set to USB, but you can also have this set to trigger, MIDI, or internal. So if you're using it on its own, have it set. But I've been using it with the iPad, so I've got it. So it'll receive iPad clock, so I can use iPad sequence instead of this one. Because the sequencer, although it's okay on this, you're limited to 1 bar of sequencing. So the iPad, it's easier just to use iPad programs. with that as well. Again, scaling here, if we hit scaling, is to do with tempo resolution. So 1/16, 1/16 triplet, 1/8 triplet. And then we've got swing. It's kind of obvious, swing amount. And then you get into the arpeggiator modes, up and down. You know, I'm going to do this in a what's it, but and then the sequencer modes. We've looked at LFO, oscillator, filter, and mix. Those are things that you hit function on and use to control different aspects of the synth, like changing the LFO and stuff like that. Basically, guys, that is it. You can have tons of fun setting up things, and it really is very easy. If I very quickly set up another patch, just super fast, I'll show you how easy it is. One of the cool things you can do. So this is our new one, right? Let's go down to let's just go and find this one, program 24, function, init. So, like I said, the first program here, if I go to our oscillators, sorry, just get out of function, go to our oscillators, is 33. And B, I'm going to also put on 33. So now I'm just doubling up oscillators. So 33, which we know is a saw wave because you've got all this stuff in your manual. So 33. So these are some of the cool stuff you can do when you start to think about how to modulate this stuff, right? So 33, I'm just going to go down here and go 33 for this one as well. Let's get this. So they're all going to be saw waves, aren't they? So we're going to get a nice rich saw wavy type sound. So 33, come on. There we go. And last one, Oscillator D, will also set at 33. So there we go. So now they're all on 33. Let's quickly set up so function mix. I'll quickly show you this as well, but mix, I'll turn that off again just for a sec. Mix, right? And this, I'm going to choose different envelope mix points now. So I'm going to increase, let's see, I'm going to go to 0.0, and then I'm going to go to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then 0.4 I'll return, but it's going to be the same. And now I'm going to go to where it says mix here, exit function, come to mix, and increase the time it takes for all of these to scoot around each other. So it won't sound much different. But trust me, they're tracking through. Now, if we start to detune these very slightly, so making sure we're on here. So the first one, I'm going to go to function, oscillator, and set this. Actually, yeah, it's already on fine from the last time, so that's good. Because it's a menu setting, it'll remember. So I'm going to slightly detune all of these now. So now, so I'm going to go to amp. Now we've already got a pad. Let's add a bit of chorus. And let's actually go function and oscillator, set this to coarse, and on exit this, go to B and Let's retune some of these. Let's retune this as well. Now you can hear the movement, right? And have more release. And if you wanted to, you could say, well, maybe I want a different oscillator with this. It's no problem. You're on it, right? So there you go. Maybe a different one on D. Mess with the filter. Let's change the LFO type for this to triangle. Nice. And then when you're happy with the sound, of course, come out of function, go back in and hit store, program stored, and then you can come back to it anytime you want and start to play around with it again. And it'll remember everything, like I said. Anyway, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gives you an idea of how you can program it and stuff like that. It doesn't take long. Once you kind of get your head around the vector, how the vector stuff works, you're absolutely golden. And of course, you can go in and adjust all this stuff, you know, like we can see here, if we look at our mix control, we could have this set a lot quicker for these and change the sound up completely. So now there's no change, but you can do it like live performance. So you might say to yourself, oh, I like that better as a starting point for this particular patch. So remember, all we need to do is go into function, and the mix control here will set point A now to there, and then go point 0, sorry, and then point 1 to there, point 2 to there, point 3 to there, point 4 to there, and now it's totally different. And especially if we come out of function and look at our mix control and set everything to slightly slower, now you've got a completely different patch. If you've watched this video premiere, thank you very, very much. And if you like it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a patron, all other cool stuff you can do. If you watched it any other time, I really genuinely hope it's helped you out a bit with understanding the Pro VS and how it works and how you program it. Excuse me. There are some other things we can, look at. So like I said, I will do another video on the sequencer and the arpeggiator, because they're okay, but they deserve their own video sort of thing. There are other ways we control how this functions as well, by the way. Like I said, if we go into function and look at our mix control, you see this first one where it says 0, 3. You can get it to, like at the moment, it's going to just end at that point. But we can set this stuff up. So say, for instance, let's see. Let's set up the loop. Let's go to, sorry, the repeat. So look, we've got 2. I'm going to do this slightly different. Yeah, I'm going to go 1 to 3 backwards and forwards. That just a little diagram there. And then I'm going to tap this again. So we're on repeat. And now I'm going to set this to continuous. And it's just going to continually repeat this. As long as I hold it down, it'll just continually repeat it. If we only have it repeat, say, 2 times, see, now it's just going to hold. So it'll run through its sequence. It's 0, 3, back to 0, 0, 3, back to 0, 3. It'll do it twice. And then it will hold at this particular point. Anyway, I'm going to close the microphone, play a few patches for you for a couple of minutes, and I will see you guys later. Ta-da!